Come on in, you guys. We're back here with another Jimmy on Clubhouse episode. So those of you new to the page, I created Jimmy on Clubhouse to replace Jimmy Rants. So if you subscribed to Jimmy Rants and you see Jimmy on Clubhouse, I'm still Jimmy, haven't changed, still here. But I wanted to bring you guys in on some conversations that I'm doing at this brand new app called Clubhouse. So if you're not familiar with Clubhouse, right now it is only by invitation only and for people who have an Apple device. So if you have an iPad, which is what this is, an iPhone. I see my friend and regular Jimmy Rants fan Norma is here. Hello, Norma and everybody coming in. Yes, Jimmy Rants was replaced by Jimmy on Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is a pretty cool little thing. Watch the videos here, you guys. You'll be able to see, but you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, you'll be able to see the vibe of what it is. Basically, it's like a Zoom call in audio form, and it connects people that are like-minded on various subjects. So obviously, I gravitate to the Keto pages, and I'm in this room called Keto for the Soul. And so we're going to go live here. And today I have a really cool little presentation from a good friend of mine, Sean Croxton, who knows a thing or two about becoming an entrepreneur in the world of health, and he helps people with that. So let's get this room open. Let's see if Sean will come on and get everybody in the room. Here we go. What's up, you guys? Come on in. Gonna see if my bud Sean Croxton pops in here. We'll get this show on the road. What up, Sean?
Mr. Jimmy Moore, what's happening, my man?
What's up, bud? I'm going to start inviting a few people to come into the room. See if I can get the main moderator to come in. She unlocks it. I see Jasmine just popped in. What's up, guys? Go ahead and pull some people into the room, you guys, while you're here. If you're into business and wanting to do something in the business world as it relates to health, I have got an expert galore here today for you guys that I think you're really going to enjoy. Sean Croxton's been a longtime friend of mine in the world of health, and so we're gonna rock it today, Sean. All right.
Right on, Jimmy. Sorry, I was doing something real quick.
Oh, you're good. You can be distracted. That's an entrepreneur brain, man. We're constantly distracted by all kinds of things. So
yeah, looking forward to talking to you about this, man. You're the old school homie, one of the OGs.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always good to talk to an OG. We go way back.
Yes. So Daniela, if you have Judy's text, could you text her and have her come unlock the room? That would be helpful. Invite a speaker. Here we go. So
I will.
Thank you, sweetie.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hey.
Hi, everyone here. I'm gonna let Judy know. Give you 1 second.
Yeah, if we could because I hate this about Clubhouse. It's like you have one person that's allowed to unlock the room, Sean, and so it kind of hampers people who try to start these lives.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I've never hosted one of these.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's pretty easy.
How this works.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. And of course, I run it like a podcast. Not everybody does that, but that's what I know. Like I've been doing that for forever. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, yesterday when I was listening to you and Ben, did you have music in the background? Is that your thing?
That was Ben.
Okay.
He was somewhere in Miami, and he sounded like he was outside because the tone of the voice sounded like that. But he must have been somewhere where music was playing. I mean, he's in Miami. They have music playing all the time everywhere down there.
Yeah. You know what, man? I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of kept me tuned in. Like, it was good stuff, but I was like, I'm kind of digging this music.
Yes.
It was that, like, constant looping music that didn't really change much. You know, it's like the brain, like, it so wants things to be completed that it's, like, waiting for the end of the song.
Do you know that I used to put music in some of my podcasts, and people started complaining? And it wasn't like it was particularly loud. It was just they were so used to my voice being alone and silent that once we added music, it almost became this distraction for people.
I thought the level of it yesterday was perfect.
Yeah.
It was like a real subtle music. I was like, I might do something like that. I was like, Jimmy's on to something here. But it was just an accident. Okay.
It was Ben. You mentored Ben, so you must have subliminally sent him that message that would be a cool thing. I do have my Alexa in the background. I could turn on some cool vibes. But yeah, you and I have enough vibe going on.
Yeah, we got this.
Yes.
Jimmy, I already texted Judith.
Thank
so
you.
He's just waiting.
Yeah, I'd like for her to open it up before I get too deep in this. So let's wait a few more seconds. Hello, Jasmine and Ann and Mandy, Johanna, Tommy, Ricardo, Shatira, Denise, Shan, Silas, Sean, Sherelle, sorry, Ashley and Irina. Thank you all for being here today. Got a really good friend of mine here today. I've known him for over a decade. He and I are two of the OGs in the podcasting world. Literally, Sean, I looked the other day. When I started my podcast, it was one of the 900 at the time. Now there's 1.2 million podcasts out there?
Man, we got in early, Jimmy. Real early.
Way early.
Back then, I don't even think I called it a podcast. I think I called it like an internet radio show.
Well, you were on Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, I was on Blog Talk for a long time with that audio quality. But hey.
Oh, it's horrible audio quality. It sounds like Clubhouse, basically, the phone line. But yeah, you come on and be, yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, John Croxton here. Underground. Like you were just like, it was funny because we like make fun of each other's opening.
I had no idea what I was doing back then. I just did it.
Do you think any of us did? We all winged it. Like when I started the interview format, nobody was doing that. And now everybody does it. I'm like, what the hell? Like that was my thing. Don't think you have to mimic me.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man. Like we're relatively new with Clubhouse.
Yes.
I mean, think about what Clubhouse is going to be 10 years from now.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to be like, yeah, we were on there the first couple of months. Like, oh my God, I just got on. It's going to be crazy. And so I like to be a early adapter of things. When I see a good idea, when I see a really good idea, I'm like, that's good. People are going to like that. This whole YouTube thing, that's a really good idea.
Yes.
I'm going to jump on this podcasting thing. I'm going to jump on that. And so I think that's a credit to, myself and to you to see the opportunities and to jump on them immediately instead of waiting for everybody else to do it first.
Yeah, when I first heard about Clubhouse, I was like, it didn't register what it was. And then finally, my friend Lauren Pappas said, get on Clubhouse. You are made for this app. I'm like, okay, I don't get it, but I get on and then I go, oh, I get it.
Hey, you know what, man? About 3 weeks ago, I did my first Clubhouse with a guy named Scott and this crew of really cool people. It was about this time on a Friday. I think it was 7 a.m. A few Fridays ago. I had my ring light ready. I had my phone like inside of the ring light. Like I thought I was going to be on video. Like
yes.
I had no idea what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But then we started up and I was like, oh, it's just audio only. I didn't have to like do all this stuff and take a shower and get ready and look good. So you know what? I just jumped in and here we are.
And see, I'm innovating even further. I'm live on Instagram right now. Jimmy on Clubhouse over on Instagram. Hey guys, thanks for being here. Kat, Cariana, Elvira, lots of people in today over there. So I'm simulcasting over there and then that content, because that's the flaw I see right now in Clubhouse. We are going to get started with the title here in a minute. You guys hang with us. We're trying to get Judy to open the room. But the flaw in Clubhouse's business model so far is there's no way to really capture the conversations here. And there's been some amazing ones in rooms that I don't moderate. So I got the idea, okay, if I moderate a room, I'll just capture it on Instagram Live, stick it on IGTV, put it up on YouTube, maybe air some of these on my podcast, and then it grows my following when it comes to, say, Clubhouse.
That's a great idea, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Always ahead of us, man.
I'm trying to innovate, man. Isn't that an entrepreneurial mindset to try to innovate constantly?
Absolutely, man. Yes. Yeah, man, you're doing good stuff, buddy. I can't wait to talk to you about this health entrepreneur stuff, man.
Yes. Well, let's just jump right into it. Daniela, have you heard back from her yet? Oh, Daniela stepped away.
I haven't heard from her yet.
Okay.
I texted her in all the different platforms. So let's wait, and that's it. Sorry.
You rock. I appreciate you, girl. Yeah, I'm using my phone to use the Instagram feed, and so I can't text her myself, or I would have done it myself. Thank you for being here. All right, guys, we're going to get going here. You are in Keto for the Soul. Definitely hit that little house at the top, the little green house next to the name of the room. Definitely subscribe. My name's Jimmy Moore. I do lots and lots of interviews here on Keto for the Soul. Definitely click on my bio. You'll see all the upcoming interviews and topics that I'll be addressing. And we try to have a good time. I've been a podcaster for over 15 years. And my guest today is also a longtime OG podcaster. His name's Sean Croxton. Is it SeanCroxton.com's the main website?
SeanCroxton.com. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so go check him out, you guys. He used to be in the alternative health space. That's how he and I connected. In fact, the very first video I ever saw of him was on YouTube, kind of going after Oprah for something, and then you quickly deleted it. You've been an interesting guy over the years too. You're passionate, and it oozes out of everything that you do. But like, you got tired of the nutritional health space for you personally, because there's only so many ways you tell people to just eat real food. He's the one that came up with that phrase, by the way, JERF, way back in the day, well over a decade ago. And still 2021, we're still trying to tell people, Sean, just eat real food. So
yeah, just eat real food. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I was going through a box of baseball cards the other day, and I stumbled upon a Epic Times newspaper that had an article about that Oprah video in it. It's about me calling out Oprah, and that was about her Rethink KFC or something like that.
Yep.
I forget the name of the campaign, and she essentially bought a chicken sandwich or some type of KFC meal, and I just saw hypocrisy in there because there was like trans fats and all of this terrible stuff, MSG in there, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me for her to be buying that type of meal for people. And I probably left that one up for a few months, but you know my thing, Jimmy, I've kind of always been this way, man. Like, I like to vent about things, and at some point, after I've gotten it out and it's gotten out to the world, I don't really see the point in it needing to stay out there. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
At some point I was like, you know what? I don't want to have this negative energy out there in the world. I've said my piece. And so I did that a couple times. I think I did that with Dr. Oz as well.
Yes.
I went off and then took it down. But yeah, just get it off my chest. Have a few people be like, yeah, that's awesome. And some people were like, yeah, I hate you. But just to get it out, it felt really good. Yeah.
You just summarized what it's like to be an influencer and an entrepreneur in the health space. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I hate you.
Yes.
Welcome to Jimmy Moore's career for the past 16 years.
Yeah, it could be tough too, you know, especially at that time, just getting started in the online space and not really knowing what to expect and seeing all of the hate and negative messages from people. However, at the same time, you know, now, 14 years later for me, I think it was 2017 when I first started using YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, I realized that I was doing something called filtering. And filtering is what we do when we tend to look at our lives through particular lenses. And I was at that time looking at my life through the lens of, you know, criticism. I was looking for criticism. It could have been 95% praise, and it was those 5% of people who would not approve of what I said that really got to me. But now I think, you know, that I've worked on my self-esteem tremendously over the last 15 years, that I don't get bothered by that stuff anymore. It just rolls off me because I think, you know, I don't need anybody to approve of what I say. I know I'm going to be criticized. I know I'm going to have haters every once in a while. And that's just the name of the game, and I'm totally okay with that.
And can I tell you guys that are listening right now, Sean and I have been at this so long. When you get hate, welcome it. It is a sign of progress.
Yeah, totally. And if you're not getting any hate, you need to worry.
Yes, something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. You're not making any difference. You're not making anybody feel anything. You know, people, they want to feel something. You know, people listen to Howard Stern because they hate Howard Stern. Like, that's weird. People used to listen to Rush Limbaugh because they hated Rush Limbaugh. It's like, why are you listening to somebody that you hate? I don't really understand. I mean, I would never do that. It's just that people are so in need of feeling connected and so in need of feeling something that they'll literally tune into people who they don't like. And you might get haters who say stuff about you, but what's really cool is that your tribe, the people who follow you, will actually stick up for you, which is really cool to see people like going after the haters without even you having to say something about that. And that's the real way that you build, or one of the ways that you really build a tribe and community.
Oh, I hardly ever respond to haters because if I leave the comment up long enough, my followers will go get them.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's your tribe. They're there to protect you.
Yes. So, guys, Sean has a wonderful podcast. If you're not aware of his work, you should be. And hopefully after today, you will go check him out more. Called Quote of the Day. Go check him out. But one of the things I love about Quote of the Day, Sean, is it's just so inspiring. You bring on interesting people. And that's been your brand, by the way. Jimmy has a certain way of interviewing people, but Sean takes that to the nth degree level of like mastery. You, like, if you had a person on your podcast and you've read their book, like you're quoting from like page 177, you said this and this kind of sparked an interest in me about this, and like you're just amazing, and you've always been that way. And Quote of the Day kind of just is that inspirational boost that if you're trying to be in this health entrepreneur mindset, it sets your mind kind of in the right direction right off the bat.
Yes, Jimmy. I interviewed people for a good 8 years, 7 years with Underground Wellness, probably did about 300 something interviews, and then some more with the online summits that I hosted. And then when I started the Sean Croxton sessions and got into the self-help space, I did another year or so of interviews. But really, man, the preparation that you talked about made for amazing content. I mean, some of those interviews are just, classic. People will be like, oh my God, it's one of the best interviews I've ever heard, period.
Yes.
And the prep would burn me out. I would do 20, 30, 40 hours of prep for 1 hour of content.
Yes.
I was obsessed with it. But it created really cool stuff, but I would have been completely out of gas by now if I continued to do it. And one day I got this idea. This was while I was actually interviewing people, because I didn't really do the Quote of the Day idea till a couple of years after I actually had the idea. And it was just hey, take these little short clips of motivational talks. And I was actually, as a matter of fact, I was driving down the 5 freeway back from the Bay Area, and I was listening to one of those Sirius XM radio stations, and it was a comedy station. It played short clips of comedy shows.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I would love if there was a channel on Sirius XM that had short clips of motivational talks. Like, that would be dope. I would listen to it all day. And that's where the Quote of the Day show idea came from. So I just take a 5 to 10 minute clip off of somebody's YouTube talk, a motivational talk on stage, and I do a front end, the intro, I do the outro, I put the clip in the middle, and people wake up 5 days a week and it's like their morning cup of motivation. And they love it, and it's a habit for them, and they listen every single day. It's a beautiful thing, and it's easy too. It only takes me like max 4 hours a week.
Yes.
At max, yeah.
And it's one of the biggest podcasts out there in the self-help realm. So good job with the branding. And see, this is the thing I love about you too, Sean. You are an innovator like me, like always thinking of, okay, everybody does things this way. How can I be ahead of the curve? And you were talking about earlier about how Clubhouse is ahead of the curve. How when we got into podcasting, when we did, ahead of the curve. YouTube videos, ahead of the curve. So how do you get in that mindset? So people are here on Clubhouse, interested in trying to become that entrepreneurial mind. How do you get them to see the vision that people like you and me take for granted? We're always thinking.
You know what? I think that, I forget who said this. I think I've heard it a couple times. Every year, the average person has 4 ideas that if they took action on would make them a millionaire.
Yes.
And, that's the thing. We did, like when Mel Robbins says, your problem isn't ideas. Your problem is you don't act on them.
Right.
When I get an idea, I act on it. The only reason I didn't act on the Quote of the Day show immediately was because I already had a podcast going that was, requiring 30, 40 hours a week of work. But if I didn't have that, I would have acted on immediately. The online summits that I've come up with, it's literally like, boom, there's the idea. Okay, let's start on it right now. You know what I mean? Let's go. And so I wish that people would have their ideas and just act on them without thinking, without asking everybody else's opinion. Like, I know a good idea when I have one. I'm like, yes, that's going to help a lot of people. And so, I trust my gut. And I think one thing that's happened with a lot of people due to all the disappointments that they've experienced in their lives is they no longer trust themselves. We make decisions logically and emotionally, and mostly emotionally. And when we no longer trust the source of our emotions, which is ourselves, due to all of the maybe bad decisions that we made in the past, then we have these ideas and we say, oh, I got a gut feeling that this is going to work, but we go, I don't know if I should trust this feeling though, because it's led to disappointment in the past. And so we just sit on our ideas. And so, you know, I'm always saying, hey, your gut is usually right. So when you feel something in your gut, that's your subconscious mind, that's your body, that spirit saying, hey, let's go ahead and do this and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. But at least you tried.
Yes.
I have to try. Like I can't live with myself if I don't actually do something that I really want to do. It creates that gnawing feeling in me. I know a lot of people who are listening to this right now, they have that feeling that they're capable of so much more, that they have ideas that they know if they create it can completely change their lives, but they're sitting in that feeling of not doing them. I would rather feel the anxiety of actually doing it than the depression of not doing it.
Yes, dude, that preaches what you just said. And I can remember in my 20s, it was before I found the health community and found my purpose in life. I always felt this gnawing in my stomach of, I'm bound for more. I'm destined for more. I just knew it, Sean. Long before I proved myself in any way in writing, in speaking, in any of the things that people know me for now, I knew every job I was in, I'm like, they don't tap into my full potential. What is wrong with this picture? And I knew I was destined someday to not rely on the man and to become the man.
Yeah, man. I think most people feel that way, man. Even I still feel that way.
Same.
I feel like there's more potential for me. You know, we have unlimited potential, and so we're always just kind of growing and growing and growing. I think people have a hard time moving forward in life. There's a really great book on this called How We Change by Ross Ellenhorn. Whenever you leave point A to go to point B, which is your goal, and you start to move forward, you get hit by a couple of things. Number one is the aloneness. You realize that you are alone in your decisions, that everything is up to you. Another thing is your accountability. Like you're accountable for your life. You're 100% accountable for how things turn out. You're 100% responsible. You're the captain of your own ship. People have a hard time dealing with that. You know, these days in 2021, a conversation about personal responsibility can be controversial.
Yes,
like, what?
sadly.
What? I don't understand how this works. Like, you're not responsible for your life because people don't want to look at that responsibility. They don't want to look at that accountability. They want somebody, in general, not everybody, they want somebody to tell them what to do, what to say, how to dress, how to think, who to vote for, on and on and on. And so the accountability, it's like, we don't want to own it anymore. But the accountability, the owning of that accountability is what you're going to have to do in order to get to where you want to go. If you're not willing to accept that, you cannot transform your life. Step one is taking responsibility and accountability for how things turn out. Without that, zero transformation, my friends.
Yeah, you just nailed it. I mean, people want things to be handed to them. And so if you're trying to be a health entrepreneur, you guys, and you just think it's just going to manifest, not without a lot of hard work and effort. I know when you take on clients, Sean, and you do brilliant master classes all the time, and you take one-on-one clients. We had one of your clients on just yesterday with Ben Azadi. He's one of your clients who is not only taken your wisdom, but he's taken it and run with it. And he's amazing. I love him as a human being. So good job with whatever you did to inspire that man. But you would be the first to say, Ben is motivated to be successful. You didn't really do anything except maybe push him in the right direction.
Yes, Ben had the mindset before coming to me. Like, I knew Ben was going to be successful. Like, Ben, why do you want to do this? I want to transform the health of 1 million people. And like, he was so confident about it. What I helped Ben with is his branding. Like Keto Camp, that was my idea. You know, the tagline for his website, he gave it to me, but I put it together for him that way. Like, we developed that concept together, and it's so cool to see him, you know, grow and bring his message to so many people. And I kind of sit back and I go, that Keto Camp thing came out of my brain. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I love that guy. And he's a guy who will just continue to move forward despite the ups and the downs and the criticism. Like, he's got thick skin. his purpose is so big that all of the stuff that's trying to push him back can't. You know what I'm saying? He's got a big why. And when you have a big why, it fuels you. It's the meaning and the purpose that fuels you. If you don't have a meaning and a purpose for the mission that you're looking to carry out in the world, and if that meaning is just surface, it's not going to work because there are too many powerful forces pushing you back. You have to have a deep sense of meaning and purpose. And when you get to that, that's when you start to move forward, and all the obstacles that come at you, they don't really matter. You start to look at them as lessons. You start to look at them as just experiences along the journey than something about you personally. We tend to take things personally, and that has a lot to do with, the self-esteem that we tend to lack these days.
Man, and I can tell you, I mentor a lot of people in the health space, trying to help them get their brands off the ground and things like that, any way that I can. I'm a pay it forward kind of guy. Been very successful in my career, so I feel like, hey, I can be the impetus for someone else being successful. I'll do what I can. Definitely go. I think hiring someone like yourself to help with the branding. And Keto Camp was brilliant, by the way, as a branding for Ben. And he's already made it into so many entities. And he's about to release his debut book, like fast. Like he popped on the scene, and suddenly Keto Camp videos everywhere. Keto Camp podcast. Now he's got Keto. It's like, whoa. And people think, well, I can't make a difference because it'll take too long to build. Ben is a perfect example of it'll build it and they will come.
Yeah, there's something. One of the things that holds us back, Jimmy, is what's called the insult of small steps. I have this. Actually, I just took it down. I got to put it back up. But one of my philosophies on life is little by little, a little becomes a lot. People don't like the little by little. They want to have these huge quantum leaps. They want to go from the bottom of the mountain, take a couple of hops and a jump, and be at the summit. But that's just not how it works. It's good to have your intention on the summit, but you first have to deal with what's in front of you. You know what I mean? You gotta take step by step by step by step. And a lot of us, as we're taking those small steps, we develop this impatience. Like, this is just taking too long. No, this is part of the journey. We're constantly asking, like, am I there yet? Am I there yet?
Yeah.
Am I there yet? Am I there yet? And there's also this frustration of, in order to get to where you want to go, you have to look at where you are right now.
Yes.
And a lot of people have a hard time with that. A lot of people feel behind. A lot of people feel like they're not living up to the standards that they set for themselves. A lot of people are just disappointed in where they are right now. And in order to get to where you want to go, you got to look in the mirror. And that is very, very difficult for most people. I say, hey, there's this house that I want that's up the street. It's a $3.5 million house up on the hill in Del Cerro. And I live in Lower Del Cerro. Still a beautiful house, but nowhere near as dope as this place. Like, I'm going to have that house. But I know that I'm not going to have that house tomorrow. I know that I'm going to have that house 3 years from now. And how am I going to get it 3 years from now? By the little steps that I make every single day. Because those steps compound over time. Now, anybody here who is a health professional and you're just getting started, think of a hockey stick graph. And so the hockey stick graph is just kind of barely moving along as it moves off to the right. And it's just barely moving on. Then at some point on that graph, it goes boom, right? It shoots up. You get the hockey stick. That's how your business is very likely going to work. You're going to put in all of these actions, all of these steps, and you're going to say to yourself, they're not paying off, they're not paying off. But they are. Trust the process that they are. And what I hate to see is when people do these steps for a while and they launch a product or they do something and they get super frustrated and they quit. Well, there's that Napoleon Hill story of 3 feet from gold. About the guy who was, searching for gold, found some, and then he was searching for some more, and at some point he quit and he sold his machinery to a junk man. The junk man called up the experts, and they found that the original guy quit 3 feet from the gold.
Wow.
And that's what we tend to do. Do not stop 3 feet from the gold, because it's like right after you really want to quit is when the success comes. It's like the universe is testing you, like, okay, I'm about to give this to you, but let's make sure you really, really want it. And most folks just don't want it.
Oh, that hockey stick hit for me, and I almost gave everything up with my branding, Living La Vida Low Carb, in 2009. The stock market had crashed. It was really bad in the economy. All these businesses, kind of like today, all these businesses kind of hoarding a little bit their money, not sure what's going to happen with the future. But what I did, I sucked it up. I cut off cable. I ate eggs for a period of time. I just did all the things to try to hang on. And 2 years later, I get my book deal, which then went on to make me a lot of money. And so had I given it all up, all of that manifestation of the gold, so to speak, 3 feet away, would have never happened for me.
I did give it all up, if you remember this.
Yes.
2010, I want to say. I got so tired of critics that I took down all my YouTube videos.
Yes, I remember.
Millions of views. I took them all down. I was so frustrated. And honestly, it felt good for about a day or two. I'm done. I'm going to go back to personal training. I'm going to be totally anonymous, not have to deal with anybody's hate, you know. And after a couple of days, after getting that dopamine hit of relief, I found myself in a little bit of despair. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I remember having to re-upload those videos one by one, which really annoyed my subscribers because I lost a lot of subscribers and also lost a lot of views as well. You know what I'm saying? And so, but right after that is when, you know, I launched a network marketing product, made more money than I ever thought I could make. I wrote The Dark Side of Fat Loss. I started doing these online summits, which turned into this huge thing.
Yes.
The big break was literally right after I quit. So I'm really glad that I turned that around.
Guys, if you've ever been on an online summit, you have Sean Croxton to thank for that, because you kind of forged a path there with the Paleo Summit. It was just unbelievably successful in the heyday of paleo. And then you were like, all right, I got the infrastructure in place. Who else wants to do a summit? Oh, you want to do one on gut health? Okay, we'll do the gut health summit. And you like had this marketing team, man, like you really refined it. And I remember 2 years prior to that, you called me on the phone. I was standing in my backyard. Man, I'm trying to figure out how to make money from this and be successful and make a difference and da-da-da. And you and I kind of posseed, and then you kind of took that idea and ran with it. It's why I connect to you so much, because you and I, we think similar in always trying to figure out ways to do things that others wish they could do.
Yeah, you know, just like we were talking about earlier, being an innovator. You know, when I first started doing online summits, they were audio summits. You know, they were like, go to teleseminar or something like that. I forget what they were called, but you would just listen to them. And you know, when I started the Paleo Summit, I was the first person. Nobody does this right now, but it was an innovation. We made slides, so we brought visuals to the audio, so it was like you were looking at a presentation. So we would do the interview first, then based on the interview, we would create slides around it. Then from there, we actually started traveling around the country and doing on-camera interviews. I'm not sure if anybody does this anymore, like live, like recording in people's houses type of interviews. But I was the first person to do that. And you know, my marketing team that I developed for those summits, I mean, I kind of regret not taking a piece of their business when they started it, because it's kind of my ideas that they're using, but it's okay. I love those people. But now my team essentially runs the vast majority of the online summits going on in the health space, Bobby and Carrie and Ian and those folks. And so it's just really cool to be able to see that, you know, these ideas that I have, whether it be that or whether it be JERF or whatever it is, like how they can take hold and really influence people's lives.
You know what, though? All of those things become your legacy. I remember being in one of your summits and watching back my presentation. I'm like, oh, wow, that looks cool. I'm cool in that. Good job. Thank you, Sean. So you created this goodwill with all of these people that you made look good, that then they don't forget. Like I literally felt a connection to you because of what you did, the sacrifices you made, the innovation that you made. So that's another lesson in health entrepreneurialism, is you're influencing people's lives with every move you make, everything you do, and it lasts with them, and it could pay off down the road where they scratch your back once they maybe get bigger than you are.
Yeah, you want to make it a win-win-win. Win for yourself, a win for the person you're interviewing or who you're working with, and a win for your audience. And,
Yes.
that's why I was so dedicated to getting so well prepared for the interviews that I did, because I wanted to wow that person. I wanted that hour that they spent with me to be memorable. Years later, people be like, "Oh, Sean Croxton, you interviewed me back in the day." Like I'm still a pretty bad networker in person. I hate to label myself, but I guess I'm sort of introverted. But doing that podcast and doing those summits was my networking. Like, I made real friends from that because they were so impressed with the extent to which I went to not only make them look good, but also to ask them questions that nobody ever asked before.
Yes.
I really don't listen to podcasts much, and one of the reasons why I don't listen, because it's just the vanilla questions. It's like, it's just this boring content. And
yes.
So I really went out of my way to make it very good content for everybody.
You know what I do now when I'm asked to be on someone else's show? They're like, "Can I send you questions?" No, I ask me anything, but I dare you. Ask me something you think I've never been asked. Yeah. And it's very rare. You were one of those people that were able to come up with something I've never been asked before. We'll leave that for now, but like it's very rare when you can get people to do that. And you're right. And my style of interviewing now is a lot more conversational. It's a lot more enjoyable, and we are buds, bonded by our many years of podcasting and interest in health. So let's reset the room real quick, you guys. You are in Keto for the Soul. Hit that little greenhouse at the top of the page. Subscribe. We got a lot of great rooms in here all day long. My name's Jimmy Moore. I do the interview thing because that's what I've done for 15 years. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I have lots of interesting people in my Rolodex, Sean Croxton being one of them. Go check him out, SeanCroxton.com. And he takes on clients as well and does master classes. You want to do a quick push for what you do in that realm?
Yeah, I'm not doing any coaching right now. I will be in June. I'm doing a little bit of rebranding right now. I'm going to be helping online business owners, coaches, and course creators to get through their mental blocks so they can be seen and heard, and so they can sell and market themselves with confidence and have the impact that they want. And so that rebrand won't be done until May or June, and that's when I'll start taking on some coaching clients. I'll also have a brand new course specifically for online entrepreneurs. And but right now, I just teach my course, Money Mind Academy, which relaunches the first week of April. And so if you want to go to my website, SeanCroxton.com, grab my free ebook, Money Mindset Made Simple. Read that book and just hang tight, because in about 3 weeks, I'll be doing a Money Mindset Challenge for 5 days on Facebook, and then we go into the launch for Money Mind Academy. And so, that's a big thing for health entrepreneurs, who tend to get shaky when it comes down to, to that part when you're talking about the price during your consultations, when it comes to determining what your rates are going to be. I mean, that stuff is huge. I know way too many coaches who are either giving away their coaching services for free, or they're not charging what they're worth.
Yes.
So I like to work with people around that because it's pretty rampant.
Oh, they devalue themselves so much. And it's something I've seen over and over again. People just, they way underball themselves. And I keep going, aren't you worth it? Like, if you were to pay for the service that you offer, what would it be worth to you? And it changes.
Yeah, I mean, people, there's just so, I posted about this on Instagram this morning. We have so many limiting beliefs around not just money, that tends to be my specialty over the last few years, but marketing and sales. We learned from an early age that money is bad, people with money are bad, people like you don't have money or never get money. You learn that marketing is sleazy, you learn that sales is pushy. And, when you learn that stuff, it's literally physically wired into your brain. There's neural networks that represent those beliefs. And what you end up doing is going into a state of conflict, because now you have to market. Now you have to sell. Now you have to earn a profit, because that is the intention of a business, right? Is to turn a profit. You don't want to be in a business that doesn't make any money. But if at the same time you believe that marketing, sales, and money are these bad things, I'm just going to tell you the truth. You're never going to make any money.
Right.
And if you do make money, you're going to find a way to piss away that money very fast. And so we got to be able, I want to help people to change, not just want to help people, I already do help people change their thermostats. You know, when your thermostat is set for 77 degrees in your home and it goes above 78, the AC turns on to bring it down. When it falls below 77 and gets down to 70, the heat turns on to bring it up. We have the same type of thermostat in our brain around money. Some people are set for $50,000 a year. Some people are set for $100,000 a year. Some people are set for several hundred. Some people are set for millions. You know what I mean? I can make multiple six figures in my sleep. You know, I can't not make over $100,000, multiple $100,000 a year. And so what we want to do is get people to raise that thermostat so they can attract the opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. And most importantly, own their services, own their value, and also own your self-worth. And that last point is probably the most important point of all, because if you don't have a lot of self-worth, if you have not attached a high value to yourself, you're not going to feel deserving of the money and the opportunities that are coming your way. That is huge, which is one of the big reasons why one of the things I help my students with is their self-esteem.
Yes.
Really big deal.
Dude, I was just on another Clubhouse room this morning, and this guy had a book. He's a first-time author, and he was so timid about promoting his book. So I unlock my mic and I go, dude, pimp your book. Like, I've got 9 books. I was a little bit the same way the first couple, and I was like, I'm over it. I offered a great service in that book. Why would I not pimp it?
Yeah, if you got something that can help the world, my friends, not just the world, just help people in general, scream that stuff from the mountaintop. You know, when I'm selling something, when I'm in a launch, I will send 2-3 emails a day to people. And people will be like, oh my God, there's too many emails. I don't want to bother people. Like, no, it's all good. I want to bother people. I want people 3 times a day to get a message in their inbox like, yo, I've got something really amazing for you that is going to change your entire life. Because if you can attract more money into your life, if you can earn more money in your life, then it's going to change your life, your family's life. You'll be able to donate to particular causes and such. Like, it can change the whole game for you. So I'm going to constantly tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, look what I got. Hey, look what I got, over and over and over again until you buy it. And I've never, ever had somebody take my course and be like, oh my God, I totally regret that.
Right.
You know, in the 3 years I've been teaching it, I probably had 7 refunds. You know what I'm saying? And usually the refunds are just because, you know, they might be on a payment plan. They can't afford to keep up with the payments. And
right.
We'll just let them stay in class. It's all good. No big deal. We're making enough money. But the thing is, like, guys, if you can change somebody's health, right? Like, think about that for a second. Imagine, and most health practitioners know what it's like because they usually got into becoming health practitioners because they had a health challenge at some point in their life that they turned around. If you can help somebody recover their health, think about what that does for that person's life. Think about being able to pick up the grandkids again. Think about being able to go on walks. Think about being able to have sex. Think about being able to have the focus to, you know, work and develop their craft and live out their purpose. It's invaluable. If you can help them with that, you don't stop screaming about it. Because if you don't scream about it, you can't help them. It's not going to happen. So scream it from the mountaintops with no apologies.
And even when you do scream it from the mountaintops with no apologies, and you get it out there and you feel like you've said it and said it and said it, you still you will get people to write you. And I get this all the time, Sean. I'm really looking for like an intro keto book that kind of explains the basics of it. I'm like, have you never heard me talk about keto clarity? Really? Seriously.
Yeah, here's another thing. You know, if you're doing this, just emailing people when you're in a launch, we'll say, and they unsubscribe, they were never going to buy your product in the first place.
That's right.
Like, you have to remember that you run a business. You know, this is a business where you have customers and stuff. If you have nothing but tire kickers on your list who are never going to buy whatever it is that you create, you know, I don't want to say good riddance, but it's not really hurting you that they're no longer on your list. You know, depending on what you're paying your email service provider, it can actually save you money, really.
Yeah. All right, guys, raise your hand if you want to come up and talk to Sean. I have one more question for him, and then we'll bring you guys up. So raise your hand. I see Jonathan's already up on the stage. So hit the little hand button down at the bottom. We will pull you up to the main stage, and here in just a moment, we'll let you ask your question or make your comments live. But Sean, the biggest thing that I run into when I talk to people is the whole idea of imposter syndrome. They just don't feel like they're worthy of this. And they're always like, well, I'm no Jimmy Moore. I'm no Sean Croxton. I'm like, no, you're you. You don't have to be us. You're you. And so getting people to get out of their own head, I know this is a big part of your work. Encourage those people.
Yeah, you know what? Imposter syndrome, something I've been studying up lately. I wish I was more an expert in this, but I'm developing it right now. But based on what you said, my friends, I taught this the other day in my class. Like, you're an original. Like, there's never been anybody like you on this planet. There will never be somebody like you. And I know we like to look at other people's journeys. We're like, oh, this person's been successful. I'm going to do exactly what they did. That's probably not going to work for you. It's really cool to use that as like some guiding principles, but you're an original. You're going to have your own original path. You're going to have your original wins. You're going to have your original failures. You're going to make your original corrections. And that's how it works. And so comparing yourself to somebody else, I would simply stop doing that, because you're never going to be somebody else. One thing I teach in my Money Mind Academy class is something called cognitive distortions. And if I can recommend a book around this, it would be Self-Esteem by a guy named McKay. And I'd recommend you go through all of those cognitive distortions and you learn how to disarm your inner critic. So, for example, a couple examples I like to give is, I'm stupid. Okay, that's a global label. That's the kind of distortion that's called. I'm stupid. So you are stupid as a person. Okay, what are you stupid about? Well, first of all, it's a pejorative label you give yourself. But what are you stupid about? Well, I'm not good at running Facebook ads. Okay, well, what are all the other things that you're good at? Well, I'm good at this. I'm good at the other. I'm good at that. I'm great at this. I'm excellent at this. I'm very proficient at this. Okay, well, you are not stupid. You're just not good at Facebook ads compared to somebody else. And that's okay. See, our inner critic likes to magnify our weaknesses while diminishing our strengths. So it's so important for you to recognize what your strengths are, what are you good at, and also to acknowledge your originality. Another one I like to talk about is called generalizations. So, for example, somebody here may have for the last 52 weeks been like, I'm going to start creating YouTube videos on Monday. And then Monday keeps going, it doesn't work. And why do you do that? Because you say, well, when I make these YouTube videos, everybody's going to criticize me. Well, let's look at the word everybody. That is a generalization, right? Who exactly is your everybody? And so for those of you who are listening to this right now who might have a pen and paper around, who is the everybody who's going to criticize you? And I don't want you to use like general words like family and friends. I want specific people. Like, I want names. And what I find is that most people usually can't come up with more than 5 names. There are literally 5 people who are keeping them from doing the thing that they really want to do with their lives. And so those are just some things to think about in terms of the reasons why we sabotage ourselves. Now, just one more thing for you on this topic. Imposter syndrome is usually when somebody feels like a fraud. And one thing about my path, one thing about Jimmy's path, one thing about everybody's path is that their paths are unconscious. See, we can look back and we can see all the big rocks. We can connect all of the big dots. But there's a lot of little tiny dots in there that we didn't see. And we did them unconsciously because we gave our brain a command as to what we wanted it to create, and it just kind of guided us through it. So we become successful, or we become very knowledgeable at something, and we look back and we go, I don't know how I got here. And that is normal because a lot of it, 90% of it or so, is actually done unconsciously, and that's the way the brain works, and that's the way that you work. So you're not alone.
And it only works that way if you put your mind in that mode that you want to be successful. I think that kind of manifests, and this is the power of the mind already going there before you're successful. Like you and I got into the kind of health space early. There was no money really to be made in those early days. And you manifested yours a little earlier than me, but it became manifested only because we put in the effort and we put in the belief that we would get there someday.
Yeah, you have to believe in yourself. You know, if you don't believe in yourself, it's just not going to happen. Your brain needs you to believe that it's possible. You know, one of my favorite lines from any movie is Doctor Strange. And he says, all I need is possible. You got to believe. When you give your brain a destination and you don't really believe you're going to get there, the brain goes, okay, well, why are we even going when you don't believe that we're going to get here? And so all of those unconscious processes that I talk about don't really happen. You got to believe. You have to have faith in yourself. Here's the problem, Jimmy. We go through life. You know, there's this thing called hope. And hope is the initiator. Hope is like, there's something that I want. I want to have the practice, you know, that I want, an amazing practice. And here's where I am now. And there's that practice over there. And I don't have it. I really want it. And I hope to have it. Okay, I'm going to set out to do it. And as I talked about before, you run into disappointments. And you run into anxiety. And then you quit. Because it's a relief. You actually get a dopamine hit from quitting because it feels good. Something negative's happening, you quit, it makes you feel good, and you're like, it releases all the pressure and all of the tension. So you go back to square one, and then you do it again, disappointed. You go back to square one, do it again, disappointed, go back to square one. And what people end up doing is they develop a fear of hope. And so hope actually becomes the cause of their despair.
Yes.
Because every single time they hope and they take action, it leads to disappointment and it makes them feel worse and worse about themselves. So ask yourself, do you have a fear of hope? Many of us, unfortunately, due to whatever our parents went through, were told, don't get your hopes up, which is crazy to me, Jimmy. Don't get your hopes up essentially means that your life is fixed and you can't change it. So it's just one thing for people to be aware of is that fear of hope.
And a lot of people put that on, well, I was never given hope as a kid, so therefore now as an adult, I have a learned behavior of hopelessness. And I'm like, you can unlearn that.
Yes. You can unlearn it. You have to be aware of it first. There's a book I'm reading right now called The Psychology of Hope, and he talks about willpower and way power.
Yes.
Willpower is the inspiration to actually get started. It's just somebody who has a lot of ideas. A lot of people have a lot of ideas, but they don't really take action on them. So you can have ideas and start taking action, but if you don't have the way power, it's not going to work. And what the way power is your ability to create alternative paths to your goal. See, if you only have one path to your goal and you're like, it's got to work this way, and you got to control the whole thing, well, what do they say about, God and your plan? God laughs at your plans, right? Nothing ever works the way that you thought it was going to work. So as soon as people who don't have much way power bump into an obstacle, they go, well, I don't know any other way to do this, so I'm just going to quit. They don't open up themselves to, and they don't trust the process of figuring things out. You have to be open to the possibility of developing or coming up with a new plan, an alternative to get to where you want to go. If you can't do that, you're done. And again, a lot of this is what we learn in childhood. Parents don't teach their kids how to navigate problems. Parents want to solve their children's problems for them. So they become adults who are like, oh my God, here's a problem. I don't even know what to do with myself.
Yes. All right, Sean, we're going to open up the lines here for other people to ask questions and comments. So guys, if you're in the audience and you want to be a part of the show here today on Keto for the Soul, raise your hand, hit that little hand button at the bottom, and definitely we'll bring you up on the main stage. Is it Kosa? You're up first. What you got for us?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, it's Kosa Chelsea. That is my social media name.
Awesome.
Bye. So I'm a cosmetologist. I live in New Jersey. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a podcast that is under construction right now. I have a nonprofit organization. Whew, I'm sorry. Like, I was getting ready for work, so I'm like out of breath and I was waiting for my turn. But yeah, so my mission with my nonprofit organization is mental health coaching, self-love mentoring, and I have had some ladies. It's strictly for women. So I have had the pleasure to work with some ladies, and I'm still developing my business, and so on and so forth. The problem that I'm having right now is that I feel like I don't have the freedom to be me. I feel like I owe it to myself, and I find a lot of enjoyment out of being myself, like loving myself, being who I am, and being honest and open and free. And I feel like sometimes it offends people, and I'm an empath. So even though, like, I know that my intentions are pure, and I know that I'm not here to hurt anyone or offend anyone, um, somehow it still affects me. I feel sometimes I find myself being feeling unvaluable within I feel like my purpose. I go back and forth with myself, like, am I doing the right thing? Yada yada. Like, should I just not do this or not do that? And it's mainly because of the critics. I know ultimately that they're critics because they just can't understand what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. But I don't know, like, it still affects me. So I'm trying to figure out, how can I just separate myself from the critics?
Kosa, is it those 5 people Sean was talking about a while ago? How many more than 5 do you have?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's the weird thing about it is like, I'm like, okay, let me just, I find myself getting beat up by these people to a certain extent. Because, like, I'm like, okay, well, what you say doesn't affect me. Like, I'm like, okay, you can say whatever you want to say. But they keep trying to come into my space. And I'm like, why are you in my space if you don't like... Yeah.
Kelsey, who are these people? I need names. Give me some names.
I don't feel too comfortable.
You use pseudonames.
Who are they? Like, are there 5 people? Are there 4 people? Are there 3 people?
1, 2, 3, about 3, give or take.
So less than 5, Sean.
Yeah, less than 5.
Yeah.
Kelsey, you have mental health, self-love for women. That's huge. There are so many women walking around right now, and just people in general, who do not love themselves. It is hard to be in a loving relationship when you don't have self-love, right? One thing I'd recommend to you is to just really get in touch with why you're doing what you're doing. You got to have a big why to be able to get you through all the criticism that's going to come your way. There's an exercise that I recommend. It's called 7 Levels Deep. And we won't do it right now. I just recommend you do it on your own, or you have a friend ask you this question. And it's like, Kosa, why do you want to help, women with their self-love and their mental health? And you give the answer. And the person who's asking the question says, okay, well, why is whatever you answered important to you? And then you give the answer. And then based on that answer, they ask you, okay, why is that important to you? Why is it important for you to da-da-da? And you keep going. And you get deeper and deeper and deeper. You're starting to get away from these surface reasons. You're actually starting to get down to that heart-centered, real reason, that real purpose that you're doing what you want to do. And when you get down to that level, to that depth, to that deep sense of meaning, the 3 people don't really matter as much. The 3 people are going to sting a little bit, but they're not going to matter as much. I would take your attention off of yourself. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I would take the attention off yourself and put it on to all the people who you're going to be helping. Because if there's one thing that we all know for sure, is that we're going to die one day. And I know we don't like to think about that, but Kosa, you're going to die one day, and you don't know when it's going to be. And you don't want to be on your deathbed one day thinking back on your life and going, man, I didn't do that thing I really wanted to do. I didn't touch those people the way I really wanted to touch them and give them more love from them for themselves so they can love other people. I didn't do that because of what 3 people were going to say about me. That's a hard thing to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And there's this quote, hell is getting to the end of your life and meeting the person who you could have become. And nobody wants that to happen. And so I suggest that you don't let that happen, and you understand that because you're going to be doing great things in the world, that you're going to have critics, but your message isn't for your critics. The message is for the people who need your help. And so just look at the criticism, move on, that's part of the game, but look for the praise, look for the impact, and what you'll notice is that 1 to 2% is actually criticism and haters, and you don't even know who they are. They can be like 12-year-olds on the internet who are just having a bad day. And just one more thing before I shut up. Every once in a while, I'll send out an email to like a newsletter to my email list, and somebody will like really bang back, right? And every once in a while, that same person will email me 2 days later apologizing, saying that they were just having a really bad day, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah, so for example, it was a young lady that I was dealing with, and I don't know what was going on. It kind of took me for a big turn. And I invited her into the space. I was open with her. I was working with her. Everything was going good. Out of nowhere, she tried to like destroy my whole business. Like, it was crazy. I could not believe that this was going on. And so I had to kind of take back, and I'm like, well, did I do something wrong? Like, like I'm so confused.
Sounds like you need to take control of who you allow in your life and don't allow in your life. If Jimmy Moore let everybody in his world, I would have gone down many years ago. I'm sure, Sean, you'd say the same thing, that you're going to have those naysayers. And what I would say about your current situation is right now it's 3 people. This is your training ground about how to deal with that 3% that are going to be antagonists once you get successful. Trust me, nobody successful deals with no haters, deals with no negativity. We all do. We just don't show it on the outside.
Thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Kosa. Anna, you're up next.
Hello again, Jimmy
Hey,
and
hey.
Sean. Awesome to hear from both of you guys. I am just like blown away. I'm getting ready to launch a huge business with a couple of other people. And my big thing is, I'd like any advice you have to give on accurately naming probably what I would call our signature course. And what we're doing is we are helping people recover from sugar and food addiction, sugar and processed food addiction. And I mean, really, I want to say, like, we're retraining your brain. Like what you were talking about, Sean, so resonated with me because it's all about your brain got rewired. And now we need to do a brain bypass. And I don't know how to like get that out there where it speaks to people. So whatever advice you have.
So what's the name you have now?
We don't really have one.
Well, why not? Why not? See, you're asking for 2 people that run their own businesses to come up with a name for you, but what is,
No,
I mean, even if it sucks. One more time.
I'm asking you for a process.
Oh.
I got something for you. Usually I'm really good at this. I've named quite a few products that people
Same.
jump to me. They're like, hey, I need your help. Can you name this for me? And I'll be like, hey, it's just make it that. They're like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? But I can't come up with something for you right now on the spot. Here's what I can recommend. You know, as you know, since you're an expert on the brain, your subconscious mind has a way of figuring things out for you. And so what I would do is I would relax. Just relax. You know, take lots of showers, go on walks. Just relax. Just let it go. Give your subconscious mind a command before you go to sleep. Like, come up with a name. That's actually, I've done that a few times, and I'll literally wake up in the middle of the night and just like write it down. Like, oh, it comes to me.
Yes.
So just trust the process, because you know the more you stress out about it, the more you get into those high beta brainwaves. And when you get into those high beta brainwaves, you're a little ways away from the alpha brainwave state, which is your more creative state, you know, of mind. And so just relax. It'll come to you. It'll come. But in terms of like steps, other than that, can't really do anything for you. Just trust the process.
Well, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And every book title I've come up with, Sean, has been the same way. When I'm not thinking about it, I come up with something good. So Cholesterol Clarity was originally Lipid Logic, which I guess would have worked if people knew what lipids were, but they don't. So we came up with Cholesterol Clarity, which then was a template for Keto Clarity. And rhyme always helps. Keywords in there, like when you did the Paleo Summit, it was well named. It was a summit. And it's about people talking about paleo. So it's kind of the same thing that you want. And this applies to any branding you do of any kind, whether it's a username or whatever your name of your business is. Come up with something memorable that's not like when I see those new podcasts pop up, the Nutrition and Health Show. I don't know what the hell you talk about on your show.
I knew somebody who had a podcast. It was a health podcast called Shut the Front Door.
Yes.
How does anybody know that your podcast is about health when it's called Shut the Front Door?
Shut that big pie hole, I guess might do it. But yeah, I remember that podcast actually. Mandy, you're up next. What you got, sweetie? Mandy, are you there? Going once, going twice. Lesha, you're up. Oh, Mandy's now shown up. Mandy.
Hey, sorry guys. I am like all over the place this morning.
What?
I do have a question that
Okay.
I want to throw out there. And just because, Sean, I would like your opinion. Jimmy knows my situation. He knows all the details. But I have a dirty competition issue. And I'm just not sure how I should go about handling my dirty competition.
I don't even know what that means.
So I'll briefly explain, and I'll do it in code, Mandy, so I don't compromise you. So she has someone in her same town that's in the same business and cuts corners and claims to have products that are a certain way that aren't a certain way. And she's undercutting Mandy's business because Mandy's doing things the right way. So she has an unethical competitor, and she needs to somehow get out the word that they do business in an unethical way and that Mandy is truly legit with what she's doing.
Oh, Mandy, you don't have to get out word that somebody's doing business in an unethical way. You just have to have clearer messaging than the person who's doing this to you. You just have to create marketing and copy that is, you know what I mean by copy, like copywriting on your website. That is far superior to the person who's copying you. If your messaging is real tight, most people are really bad with their messaging. They're horrible. You land on somebody's website, you don't know what they do, you don't know what they sell, you don't see any buttons to actually buy anything, you gotta look all over the place for them. Step up your game on the marketing end, and you won't have to worry about this person anymore.
That's what I've been trying to focus on, just getting my name out there, my transparency, and really pushing, my clean products, my transparency, helping others, and just pushing that focus. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the right track with that.
Yeah, Fat Fueled Health.
Round Two It Kitchen. Round Two It Kitchen is the name of her company.
Okay, let me just take a look. Oh, is it fatfueledhealth.com or is the Round Two? What's the website?
My health coaching business is Fat Fueled Health, but the main business day to day is Round Two It Kitchen.
Round Two. I'll just take a look at it real fast.
Yeah.
And it's PUIT.
Yeah, those of you in the audience, she makes amazing baked goods that are keto friendly. I need to reorder Mandy, so it's been a while, but really good stuff.
Okay, so Round Two It Kitchen. Let me take a quick look real fast.
Real-time analysis.
Yeah, you can do a much better job with the website. I would also join our RTK VIP club. I would never ask for last name. Once you ask for last name, your conversion is going to go way down for your opt-in. Also, like a VIP club with new products, retailers, sales events, giveaways, and more. That doesn't really tell me anything. That just means you're going to take up a lot of space in my inbox for things that I'm probably not going to want anyway. So I would give them something like really tangible, maybe like a recipe book or something like that. Really easy recipes. I'm having a hard time seeing one of these days I'll get around to it. It kind of blends in with the background, especially the tooth. I would recommend getting Donald Miller's book, How to Build a Story Brand, as well as his other book, business made marketing made simple, and they're really quick reads that'll help you tremendously in dialing in your website. You got too much white space at the top of the page, all that white, and it's like home and round to a kitchen, the logo. I would get rid of that and tighten that up a bit. I would have more calls to action. So I still haven't even found a button that I can click to buy something from you, and I've been scrolling for a couple seconds now. Oh, there it is on the very bottom, shop now. And so most people who are skimming your website are probably not even going to get to the bottom of your website to actually click on that button when they're not compelled by what's on the top of your website. And so that's some really quick advice I can give to you. Once you tighten up your website, and when you tighten up your website, you'll probably be able to tighten up your social media content as well. Then this person who's copying your stuff, you will never be heard from again.
Okay, I have read Donald Miller's Story Brand. That's a great book. And I have used that. I love his treadmill theory. I have used that, and I was trying to... How do you find the balance, though, on the website with giving information of, like, what you are? Because you go to a website and you say, okay, well, what is this? So I have all the gluten-free information up there and sugar-free and, designed to not spike your blood sugar and so forth. How do I immediately give them an action button other than the top bar, as well as that info?
Well, what do you do? Like, I'm like looking at your website, I'm not sure what you do. Like, if I read the words here, one of these days I'll get around to it. I think around is one word instead of two. So there's a bit of a typo there. A lot of people don't fight your sweet tooth. Oh, a lot of people is like a quote. So a lot of people are saying that. Like, I'm not clear on that. My brain is having to work too much on your website. Don't fight your sweet tooth. Life is sweet. Just around to it. Most people don't even know what to it means, right? They're like, to it, like, what is that? Gluten-free, sugar-free, and keto. Like, I would rather see something here where it's like, we make delicious treats that are low sugar and good for you. Like that, somebody sees that, they go, oh, okay, this is what this company does. But one of these days I'll get around to it, because if you're going to use a quote like that, you want to use a quote that about 80% of your target audience are saying to themselves in their head. I'm not sure if 80% of your target audience is actually saying to themselves, one of these days I'll get around to it. And so you've lost maybe 80% of the people who come to your page because you're not truly entering the conversation that's going on in the minds or the brains of your target audience. Once you do that, then you use those words. You want to match their words because, words have energy, words have frequency, and so you want to resonate with them. To me, what it looks like is you're not resonating with your audience. Not everybody is a copywriter. And so if you're doing your own copy, then like if you make goods, one day I thought it would be a good idea to build my own website. Then I came to my senses and was like, no, I'm not a website builder. You know what I'm saying? Like I do health stuff, right? And so I would recommend hire yourself a copywriter. StoryBrand has many certified people who can actually do the copywriting for you, because it looks like, now not as a diss, it looks like that's not in your wheelhouse right now. You're trying to do it on your own.
Very, very good analysis, I should say.
And
thank you.
And Mandy, if Round To It Kitchen is your primary brand, why isn't it in your profile? It's named there in your profile here on Clubhouse, but it should be your Instagram name on your profile, because you're pushing people to Fat Fueled Health, but you're making money and doing business as Round To It Kitchen, and your brand, even in your picture there, shows your logo in the background of your picture. Don't you want to point them to that rather than your consulting business with your fitness brand that you're not doing, and you even professed, I'm not making money from that like I am the primary business is Round To It Kitchen?
Yes, and the reason behind that too is because when I jumped on Clubhouse, I thought it was more going to be like a focus, coaching, nutritional information, blah, 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 blah. But now I know what Clubhouse actually is.
There you go. So make that change today.
You know what, Mandy? I didn't even make the connection, like Round To It Kitchen. One of these days I'll get around to it. And that...
Now he gets it.
but that's the problem, though, man.
Yes.
Like, my brain was nowhere near making that connection. Like I would have made that. Jimmy didn't say it. I would have never made that connection in my life. So I would strongly consider like a rebrand so you're clear as to like what your business name means.
Yes.
Because if it's just that quote around to it and you're using that as the name of your kitchen, I'm not sure if you're making their brains have to work too much. If somebody can't understand something in 3 to 5 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah,
how do I go about rebranding though? That's intense.
Does anybody know your brand now other than the stores you sell into? And you and I have these discussions. Mandy's a friend of mine, Sean, by the way. And you and I have had these discussions. I didn't know what Round To It Kitchen meant either. I think sometimes people try to get cute with the naming. Keep going, Mandy.
I was just going to say, I mean, I'm still a small business, but I have grown quite a bit in almost 3 years. So I do have quite a bit of people that definitely have, I should say, brand recognition, especially with my logo. So I think if maybe I could come up with something, I'm just thinking out loud now, with the same logo and font and just changed it. But I don't know.
Hey,
there's a lot of people.
Companies do it all the time. There was a company in the keto space that made keto cookies, and then they were actually in violation of some trademark that someone else had, and so they shifted over to a new brand, and they just made the shift. And people see. Here's the thing: you forged relationships with these retailers to sell your product. They know you. I think you're putting a little bit too much value in. They know Round To It Kitchen. No, they know Mandy Hale.
That's true. Because everybody around here and in the surrounding areas knows me as my business.
That's right.
That's very true.
Call it Mandy's Kitchen.
I love that.
Yeah, because I mean, even when you said Round To It.
Yeah, just Mandy's.
I like Mandy's Kitchen.
Like Candy's? Mandy's Kitchen? Good. Okay.
I like Mandy's Kitchen because even when you said Round To It and I was punching it into the Google, I put TOIT.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever have to tell somebody how to spell something, again, brain has to work too hard. Yeah, great question, Mandy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mandy. Hope that helped you out. Lesha, you're next.
You know what, Jimmy? I got about 30 more minutes.
Yeah.
I do have a 9:30 call,
but
I'll push that 15.
We will be done in about 15-ish. I'm going to try to blitz through these last 3. Lesha, what you got?
Hi, thanks for bringing me up. So I'm glad I joined this conversation because, Sean, I didn't know who you were, but you sound like you could be my best friend because everything you're saying is so relatable. I feel like since I became an entrepreneur, it's like all this mental work that I have to do. It's like 80% mental and going through my limiting beliefs and all the things. And the one thing that I'm really struggling with is this balance between my role as a mother and trying to be an entrepreneur, and like the struggle between, not having enough time, and they're only in school once a day or once a week, God, I wish. And, I started just as a food blogger because I had extra time, and then I launched a membership site, and I'm having a hard time scaling it because I don't have enough time, and I'm in this comparison trap where I see all these people that are crushing it and getting to 6-7 figures. And I'm like, I know I'm capable of that, but I just don't have the time to do it right now. So any tips or advice that you could give me on that? Because I juggle between, should I just quit this, but then I can't because I started it and I have clients. Just this constant juggle in my mind.
Tell me real quickly, how do I say your name?
Lesha.
Okay. How many people do you have on your team?
On my team?
Yes.
Sounds like it's Lesha.
No, I have 6 contractors.
Okay, well, hire more people. Identify those things that are taking your time that somebody else can do. That's the only way you're going to scale, is you're going to have to hire more people. Another way, if you're doing health coaching, group coaching is going to be something that's going to be able to save some time for you. We can just help many people at the same time. Also, creating some type of online course, like a modulated course that they can go through on their own, and you can charge them, $1997, like $1,997 for something like that, and you can, start doing live webinars for that, and then eventually turn that into an evergreen webinar. I mean, you want to get to the point where you're getting your business on autopilot, and you're spending a minimal amount of time working with people one-on-one. Like, you've done the one-on-one stuff. I can assume that you know how to get results with people. Now it's time for you to, put that information into some type of course that people can do on their own.
Yeah, I actually do have a course. It's actually inside my membership site, and it is group coaching. It's just the whole, getting ready for all the launches, and then people leave, and then trying to grow it. It's very difficult to do when you only have 1 day a week to work.
Right. Are you running Facebook ads at all?
I have run them in the past, and I'm still tweaking my messaging, and I feel like until I really get nailed down on my messaging, I don't want to run Facebook ads as much. But I have run them, yes.
Okay. All right, cool. So number one team, dial in your messaging, your Facebook. Brandon, speaking of, just an email just came in. Brandon Lucero, last name Lucero.
Yes. No, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So jump into any of his courses around the messaging part. I think that'll be super helpful for you. And and then, I would also just think about, like, what are your beliefs around being a mom? Like, what does that mean to you? What are the expectations that you have for being a mom? Do you always need to be there for your children 24/7? What's there? Are you willing to ask for help with the kids during these times when you're really busy? So I would start to think about that as well.
Thank you very much. Very good information.
Not a problem, Lesha.
Lesha, thank you. And Diane, you are the last caller. What you got for us?
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
So I'm an osteopath and pain specialist. Pretty much moved my business online last year. And I'm very passionate about what I do. I try to kind of help people with different ailments of the body, whether it be back pain, neck pain, sports injuries, whatever. And I design these online programs for these people. And it takes into consideration everything, like lifestyle, nutrition, stress management, postures, things that aggravate their symptoms. And we also talk about self-guided techniques that they can apply to themselves to essentially enable them to get rid of the pain, get rid of the barrier, and improve the restrictions in their life. Now, a problem I'm facing, and I got like my first client in December last year, and it was awesome. Like, in 2 weeks, she had back pain and sciatica. She went from a 10 to a 2 just through check-ins and course content and everything like that. And that really uplifted me, because I was a bit skeptical that, everyone associates an osteopath or chiropractor with hands-on treatment. And so I was skeptical that it would be well received. So she was really the perfect client. Sorry if my kids are in the background. But now I find that I'm facing a lot of, not resistance, but hesitation with people, because they're so used to having hands-on treatment. And it's not a mental block for myself, it's a mental block for potential clients. And I just wanted some advice on how to kind of overcome that.
I think that an assumption is being made as to what the potential clients want. There may be a lot of people who want hands-off stuff that they can just do from home. Especially these days, because number one, people are busy. They got kids at home, right? People don't want to have close contact right now because of COVID as well. And so, but they're in pain at the same time, and they're looking for some solutions. And so I would kind of acknowledge that that's an assumption, and that you may not know for sure that's going to be true. Again, yes, there is a segment of the market that wants in-person hands-on stuff. However, at the same time, there are people like, for example, my buddy Rick Caselge. Rick Caselge is killing it online, selling programs to help people with their shoulder pain, their back pain, their knee pain. I mean, that's a multi-million-dollar business, and he doesn't see any of them. And so I will look at his business. His first name is Rick. Last name is K-A-S as in Sean, E-L-J, Rick Cassell. She's on Clubhouse as well and Instagram and such. But look at his stuff so you can see that it is possible and people are actually doing it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Diane, thank
No
you.
problem.
And I see Ada came back in. You're our last caller today. What you got, Ada?
Yes, sorry, I had to go into a store.
Yeah. What you got today?
Okay, so quick. So I offer many services. Like I am a personal trainer, a massage therapist, a nutrition coach. My passion is the nutrition side, though. My website is my name, even though my company name is the Wellness Rooms. And I've been so busy with the coaching that I really don't have a whole lot of time for the other stuff, even though I offer it. So I'm finding myself, maybe I should just focus on one thing, but I'm also like conflicted because you need to diversify and have many streams of income.
Okay.
Help. What
All
should
right.
I do?
I think do what you love to do. If nutrition is your thing, do that. Be the master of that. The other streams of income that you have, it'd be really nice to have income that doesn't require your physical presence, such as investments, such as maybe some network marketing that you work really hard for a few months. Then after that, things just, start to create some residual income from that. But I like the idea of being known for something. If somebody's known for, I think it's really hard to be known for personal training and nutrition and all these other things at the same time. Like, what are you fantastic at? And again, what it sounds like to me is like you're fantastic at the nutrition part. And
Yeah.
I would really focus on that. There's a great book called The One Thing, which is essentially like find what your one thing is and crush that, and try not to be the jack of all trades. Just do the thing that you need to do and just refer the rest of the stuff out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just thinking of multiple sources of income too, but okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the multiple sources of income, again, they don't really have to require you to work many different jobs. So like I get streams of income from like affiliate marketing, network marketing, investments that I've made that just really don't require me to do much more than I do already. They're kind of built into the business. And so, if you're hopping around from, you got a personal training appointment at 11, you got a nutrition appointment at noon, you got something else going on at 3, I don't know. I think you'd be able to attract more business if you were just known for one. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Yes.
And once you nail down that one thing, Sean, and you'll agree with this, it kind of makes you excited to, okay, I got that one thing nailed and mastered. What other one thing can I add to that? And so like for me personally, I think one of my one things is podcasting, obviously. I think another one thing is book writing, obviously. Teaching low carb ketogenic, obviously. So I think over time it can manifest in more things, but that's where a lot of entrepreneurs go crazy early is they think they have to be those multiple things right away when you need to get good at one thing first.
Yeah. I'm really glad you brought that point up. Really, really glad about that. Like you said, a lot of entrepreneurs try to start really wide, start narrow and then broaden out over time. It doesn't really work as well when you start wide and go narrow.
Oh, and I suck so bad, but then you get better, right?
Exactly.
You get better. 10,000 hours to master a skill, and I've got about 100,000 hours now at it. So
that's why you're the master.
You too, man. Guys, Sean Croxton, give it up for him today. He was wonderful talking about health entrepreneurialism. Go check out SeanCroxton.com, and definitely when you rebrand here in a few months, taking on new clients, I think you hear the heart and soul of this man and the wonderful work he's doing to help you succeed in your business. So if you've got an idea and you've got passion, Sean likes to work with people like that. So definitely check him out. Go listen to his Quote of the Day podcast. Wonderful resource for encouragement and lift you up. And Sean, thank you, dude. When I asked you, you're like, yeah, I'm not really in the nutrition thing anymore. I'm like, oh, you don't know. These people are like dying for what you know. And so I think today they were really happy to have you.
Yeah, man. Definitely a good time. I'm always willing to help people, always happy to do this, and happy to do anything for you because you're my main man, OG.
Back at you, bro. Back at you. So, guys, you're in the Keto for the Soul room. Hit that little greenhouse at the top. Definitely subscribe. And definitely follow Sean and myself. In my bio, you will see the upcoming recording schedule. I'm going to talk about a 7-day fast I'll be leading next week. So that's at 1:30 today. I've got my One Step Deeper podcast recording tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That's coming up this next week. I also have at 10:30 tomorrow the Ask the Ketogenic Pharmacist about the effects of keto and meds. Definitely go check out my bio and you'll see all of the upcoming content that I'll be providing here. But thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you around the clubhouse. Bye, guys.